means it's foliated, because that means layers. Foliated means it has layers. And this is a pretty big piece of it. And it was probably formed a long time ago, because it takes millions and millions of years to form, to turn a rock into a metamorphic rock. It's a very long process. So this is a pretty big piece, but as you can see, there's lots of smaller pieces of slate around here that we could use in the box. So I'm just going to grab a small piece. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next type of rock on the list is an igneous rock. And
This is an intrusive igneous rock, right?
yeah, it's an intrusive igneous rock. And this is a big piece of granite. Now, an igneous rock is a rock that is formed from cool lava or magma, which is basically molten rock.
And in this case, it's an intrusive igneous rock, which means that it had formed and cooled. It was from magma that cooled under the Earth's surface.
Yes, and also intrusive igneous rocks usually have crystals because they cool more slowly than the extrusive ones. So there's a lot of crystals on this rock,
Some back here.
as you can see. And granite is a very common type of rock, igneous rock, so it's pretty easy to find, and this is just a large piece of it. As you can see, there's some smaller pieces around here also, and we are going to collect one of those smaller pieces for our sample box.
So why don't we use this box?
All right.
Here we go.
Here's a little piece of it, and we're going to put that in our box. And next on the list is erosion. So this right here is an example of erosion. And erosion is when rock or other material is kind of eaten away by wind or water. And as you can see here, this land, the grass growing on top of it, like right here, was completely eaten away.
And all of, like, the tree roots all sticking out and everything.
And we're guessing that the thing that did this land was probably the wind coming off of the water on the pond, which is behind us. And as you can see, all the dirt was like kind of formed like a cliff face. That's what tends to happen with erosion.
And then this tree have fallen down from the wind and the water in the pond.
Because the wind like literally stripped away all the soil from its roots, so it couldn't get any nutrients and it just died. So I guess we need to take a sample of this. So we'll just take a little piece of the dirt, or maybe if you want to take one of the rocks from inside of it. So we're gonna take one of the rocks from the wall for our example of erosion. And wait, and you can also see this is the pond. You can see how the wind is blowing it towards the shore right here, which is probably what caused this to happen. So the next example we needed was sediment, and sediment is larger rocks that are broken down into smaller rocks. As you can see right here, that's sediment, and this sediment is found on the shore of Johnson's Pond. There's the pond right there, and they were broken. The larger rocks like this were broken into smaller pieces by the processes of weathering and erosion, and that's when the wind and the water and also other natural processes like temperature broke down the larger rocks into smaller pieces. And as you can see here, these are smaller pieces of larger rocks.
So we can just take, I guess, a few small pieces to show as our sample for our box.
Here you go.
So as you can see, the larger stones and pieces of rock are farther out in the water, but as you come closer to the shore, all the smaller pieces of sediment are closer to the shore because the water transports all the sediment to the shore.
And when the when the transportation is done, the sediment is deposited on the shore or just right on the edge of the water. And eventually that sediment will form layers and compact and cement together to form sedimentary rock.
Wow, this is a really good example for a rock that's on our list of glacial striations.
Yeah, so the next thing on our list was to find an example of a rock with glacial striations.
What is glacial striations anyway?
Well, this right here is a very large piece of bedrock. And as you can see, there are some large scratches or gouges cut into it in many places, also over there on the other side. And these were cut when the glaciers were here millions and millions of years ago. They carried pieces of gravel and boulders and other rocks with them. And as they scraped across the landscape, as they scraped across this bedrock, they carved these large scratches or gouges into the rock, which are known as glacial striations. Okay, so this is a large piece of bedrock with glacial striations, but we need a sample of it. So there's some smaller pieces of this rock that have been broken off. So I'm just gonna grab one of those and use it as our sample. These are so this is some of the scratches in it, and as you can see, this right here is a large gouge in it. There's more scratches over here, all around this. These are all glacial striations.
So the next thing on our list is a glacial erratic, so let's go find an example.
Glacial erratics usually look different than normal rocks in this area, and this is a very large boulder, so we know that it is definitely a glacial erratic. And that a glacial erratic is a rock that is transported and carried by a glacier and then deposited here millions and millions of years ago from the glaciers. And we're also guessing that this is an igneous rock because, well, we don't have volcanoes around here, so
It's an extrusive igneous.
Yeah, it's an extrusive igneous rock
Because there's no crystals, and crystals couldn't form because it cooled quickly.
Yeah,
Black holes cool quickly.
and an extrusive igneous rock basically means that it's lava that cooled on the Earth's surface.
So we need a sample for our thing. So what's a good sample?
This is just a little piece of this glacial erratic here, and that concludes our
list.
hunt. And when we get back, we will reunite this with the black box and see what's inside. So we're finished with our rock hunt, and we're just going to show you all the rocks we found.
So this is our sample of slate that we found, and this is a sample of our granite, which is our igneous rock.
And this is a piece of the rock that came from the erosion. And this is some pieces, sorry, they're hard to get out, of the sediment that we found. And this is a piece of the rock that had the glacial striations on it.
And this is a piece of the rock from the glacial erratic rock we found.
So now we're going to reunite this small box with the larger platform and see what's inside. It's unlocked. Let's take this off so we can open the top. crystal in the shape of a heart. So we're just on Johnson's Pond right here, and you can see there's a swan out there. Looks kind of small in the camera, but in real life it was a lot bigger. It's very cute.